Hello, everyone. Welcome to the May meeting of the City of Binghamton Planning Commission. My name is Nick Corcoran. I'm currently the chairman of this commission, which is comprised of local community members tasked with reviewing site plans and special use permits for consistency with the standards and criteria set forth in the City of Binghamton Code. Based on our total number of planning commission members, 4 members must be present to constitute a quorum. Tonight, it looks like we've got 6 members, which means we do have a quorum and can proceed. First item on our agenda is roll call. Mario DeFulvio. Joe D'Angelo is absent. Chris Judgeets.
Here I am, Rocky like a hurricane.
Thank you. Kelly Weiss. All right. Manny Priest.
Here.
And Kyle Nedlick.
Here.
All right. 6 members, which means we do have a quorum and can proceed. Next item on the agenda is approval of the April minutes. Anybody see anything that needs to be adjusted? And if not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right, motion by Chris. Seconded by Kyle.
Second.
All right, all in favor? All right, so that's 4 in favor, all abstaining. There's 2 abstaining who were not there last meeting, so that's 4 in favor, 0 opposed, 2 abstaining. All right. Next item on the agenda are seeker determinations. In this portion of our meeting, the Planning Commission will be reviewing documentation provided by applicants for the first time. Applicants will be called to the microphone where they will be asked to make a presentation describing their plans to the commission. Commission members may then ask questions of the applicant to clarify any items that are unclear. After all questions have been answered, the commission will deliberate and then either set a public hearing date for the project or request additional information before proceeding. To all applicants that will be presenting tonight, we ask that you please state your name and address for our records before beginning your presentation. And we ask that any member of your team who will be speaking, please give their name and address for our public record. All right, tonight, our first seeker determination is for the applicant, the Metro Group Properties, Inc. Project address is 181, 185, 187, and 205 Clinton Street, as well as 2 and 7 Hudson Street and 9 Slauson Ave. And this is a site plan review and special use permit for the construction of a mixed-use structure with 288 dwelling units and ground floor commercial space, in addition to an ancillary parking in the C4 Neighborhood Commercial District and I2 Light and Medium Industrial District. All right, welcome. And if you could make sure that that microphone, the green light is on, and you do have to kind of speak directly into the mic.
Hey, good evening. Thank you. Is this close enough to the mic?
No, you really got to get
Closer,
right
huh?
in there.
How's that? Better?
Perfect.
All right. Okay, thank you. My name is Bob McCurdick. I'm with the law firm Coughlin and Gerhardt of 99 Corporate Drive in Binghamton, New York. And I'm here on behalf of the applicant, the Metro Group Properties, and we're here seeking a site plan review of a mixed-use development project at 187 Clinton Street and surrounding parcels. So with me tonight are Steve Sanishin with the Delta Engineers. He's a project engineer. And Dustin Welch, he's with Passero Architects and Engineers. He is the project architect. So this is really a unique opportunity for the city of Binghamton. What we've got here is a proposal really for the first time in many years where an applicant is coming to the city of Binghamton with a project designed specifically for the people of Binghamton. So we're not coming to you with another student housing project. We're not coming to you with a bar on Court Street or a parking facility. This is a project that's made for the residents of Binghamton to live at, to work at, and to shop at. So I'll give you a brief overview of the project and then turn it over to the design team here to go through the plans. This project will include 2 5-story structures along Clinton, Jarvis, and Hudson Streets. The 2 structures will be connected by a courtyard area on Clinton Street, and it'll have kind of a grand entranceway, which you'll see when we get to the renderings. There's going to be a total of 288 units, and it'll include a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments. The entire ground floor along Clinton Street will be reserved for commercial uses, such as retail use, food service, and building management offices. But the hallmark of this project is really that it's been designed specifically for the enjoyment of the residents who are going to be living there. So the project includes a outdoor playground area behind the building. It'll have a indoor fitness center for the residents who are living there. It'll have a community room where the residents can hold functions and birthday parties. It's going to have a common laundry area. It'll have plenty of storage, including bicycle storage on site. We'll have EV charging stations, a courtyard area, as I mentioned, that can be an outdoor gathering place for the residents along Clinton Street. A sizable amount of green space, which will be adorned with shrubs and trees scattered throughout the project site, as well as plenty of parking, approximately 300 parking spaces behind these structures for the residents and their guests. So what are we asking for the Planning Commission? First, in regard to seeker, this is a type 1 action under seeker. So we're asking the Planning Commission to declare itself as lead agency tonight. And what that will do is allow the process, the seeker process, to commence, and we'll get some notices out and line up the procedures for the next meeting to tackle seeker review. And we know this is your first introduction to the project, so we're clearly not expecting any kind of vote of approval tonight, but we are going to be asking you to approve a site plan and special use permit for this project. Connected to that is a modification of the lot coverage requirements. So your zoning code allows for a maximum lot coverage of 70%. You are permitted to modify that by 5%, up to 75%. We'll be asking you to modify it to 72%, from 70 to 72%. And that's it. It's pretty straightforward. There are a couple of variances that we'll be asking for from the Zoning Board of Appeals with regard to the height of the structures, as well as the use of the ground floor along Jarvis and Hudson Streets as residential as opposed to commercial. But those aren't within your purview. So we're going to focus on what's within the planning department's approval here tonight. And I'll just wrap up here. So this project is a direct result of the Clinton Street Neighborhood Business District Plan that the city approved last year. And that plan seeks to revitalize the Clinton Street corridor with projects focused on economic development, additional housing, shovel-ready type projects. And so we think what we're proposing here tonight really hits on all cylinders. We're really excited about this. The city has been asking developers for years for an anchor project, a transformational project on the Clinton Street corridor. And I think we finally have a developer that's listened to the city, is proposing exactly what the city wants and what the city needs. So again, we're happy to be here tonight. We'll be here to answer any questions, whatever you might have. And I'll turn it over to Dustin to present the renderings and the plans.
Bring this over. Let's see what happens. We're gonna try this. Hi, oh, you do
But you
really have
gotta-
to be
you
close.
gotta
Can
have
I hold it? Is this ridiculous?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, Dustin Welch with Passero Associates, project architect on the development project here. So, I'm gonna talk briefly, just quickly to introduce the project for everybody. So the rendering here that we have was not included in the package that you guys had. This is hot off the press, so this is fairly new. We can distribute this after the fact, but this is an image of the building looking at the corner of Clinton and Hudson. One of the things that we were really excited about was the kind of two main intersections, Jarvis and Clinton and Hudson, that we were able to interact with this design. So one of the architectural moves that we made was to recess the entrance, bevel it at that Clinton and Hudson intersection. This provides us a little bit of space for a front-facing plaza, gives the building a street presence on both the Hudson and Clinton side. Elevationally, sorry, we need two hands, I guess. So we've submitted some architectural elevations. The intention here was to try to capture a modern aesthetic with influences of some of the historic building elements and some of the specific architectural stylings that we have here in Binghamton. So we took a look at some of the adjacent structures. We tried to utilize the kind of architectural style and aesthetic that you folks have in that area and bring it into a kind of modern iteration of the building. So we've got first floor retail, a lot of transparency, a lot of fenestration, upper floor residential that kind of steps back from the street as it rises up. Again, we don't want the building to be imposing. So particularly at the plaza and at that street level, we have a kind of step back at the upper floors that kind of helps the building, kind of qualifies the building's height a little bit for people walking by. I'm going to talk just a little bit about the site plan, and then I'm going to turn it over to Steve to talk about the balance of the site. But we have started looking at the three kind of major plazas that we have along the front facade of the building, particularly at Clinton and Jarvis, at the center of the two buildings, and then again at Clinton and Hudson. And so we wanted to use these as an opportunity to provide some public amenity space to the city, as well as usable space for the residents. The Clinton and Jarvis Plaza, we're proposing a portion that would be specifically street facing, as well as a portion that would service the intended future retail. We've recessed the building a little bit along Clinton to provide some circulation space, as well as maybe a potential future colonnade that would allow for access to the retail space as well as the residential buildings. At the far end, we've recessed the opening again, the entrance again on Clinton and Hudson. We've beveled it to create this entry plaza. The idea here is to kind of bring people into the building and create a welcoming kind of space, as well as give that intersection some space from the building. And then provided plaza where the two phases of the building intersect. This open plaza will be accessible by the public as well as residents. The idea is also to have some space in there to provide amenity for the retail space, maybe overflow or whatever it looks like. So you guys have this, we'll deal with specific questions if you have any, and I'll turn it over to Steve to talk about the balance of the site plan. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. So I have floor plans that I meant to distribute. I'll hand those out quickly. I brought 8 copies and there's 9 people here, I think, so we might have to share one, but I can send these around as PDF later as well. Thank you. So there really, so there was a request to distribute these digitally. We will get them distributed digitally. If you look at the floor plans in front of you, you'll see kind of an anticipated unit matrix. You can see on the first floor in red, we have our common spaces and retail spaces. We're showing utility and mechanical spaces in purple. Again, these are anticipated spaces. They might have to shift when we actually get into some of the more detailed design elements. And then as you see in the upper floors, you can see a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms in blue throughout the building. I think one of the points actually I'll make is just to notice that on the 5th floor, the building, we've created kind of a step in the building as we approach the plaza between the two buildings. I think the idea here is to create a little bit more open space for that plaza. Make sure that the building isn't imposing in that kind of more narrow space to people who are walking through.
There's no basement level, correct?
Correct. No basement level. So I'll pass it over to Steve. Oh, wait, yeah.
Actually, question for Tito about the floor plans that were just distributed. In the staff comments, in the staff report, it mentions the need for a detailed floor plan. Does this meet what the planning department's looking for, or do you want even more detail of like what's in each unit as far as bathroom walls and stuff like that?
We don't need that. We just needed the number of units, number of beds in each unit, and and that breakdown by floor. If you want to see more, you can ask for more. But at the planning level, we don't necessarily need that.
There is also a matrix on the side of the plan, so you can see a breakdown if that's easier for people as well.
Are there some amenities in the units that you would want the planning commission to know about? Like, are there laundry facilities in the units or anything like that? Or is it just bedroom, kitchen, bathroom, living room?
Each of the units is gonna have a small storage room, but nothing like, no, laundry's all central. I'll pass it over to Steve.
Okay, so looking at the site plan here, I just wanted to point out that the phase 1 building is the building that's on the corner of Clinton and Hudson. Okay, so that'd be built first. And then the second building for phase 2 would be the one here on Clinton and Jarvis, kind of this U-shaped building here. With 2 main entrances in and out of the property for the apartment use. One is over here on Jarvis. And the other one is going to be coming off of Crandall, which will come down through our own parking lot into the back of the property. So there'll be 2 points of ingress and egress for all the apartment traffic. We do have another point of ingress egress here on Clinton Street. This is for the retail space that'll be here in the bottoms of the phase 2 and phase 1 buildings, various portions, which you can see on the plans that Dustin just handed out. And I did just want to note that we are aware that there is a bus stop over here and that this entrance is far away enough from the bus stop that there shouldn't be any conflict there. Okay. All our handicap parking and EV parking is kind of up here in the centralized area to kind of service both buildings. So that splits that up nicely. Here's the playground area. And then we have our 2 sources of trash here and here for dumpsters, one next to the back of each building. So let me flip the page here. Talk a little bit about additional landscaping. So Dustin hit the main courtyard areas here in this corner and this corner. And everything that's here on this plan that is green is some kind of planting. Okay, some of it is just straight up landscaping, as in, you know, for the buffer areas here at the edges of the parking lots and to the adjacent properties. Some of it, such as this triangle here and this triangle here, are actually stormwater areas. So the water, it will be planted, but water will be able to infiltrate the ground through media that will filter the water and put it into underground piping. So from a stormwater perspective, we should be able to treat everything on site with these green areas. We won't need any underground stormwater remediation or any tanks or any kind of things like that. We should be able to do everything from the surface. So that is that. Is there any questions so far? I'm not sure if you guys have some questions on what I've said yet, or.
I'd just ask a stormwater question. So when you do your calculations, you're considering the existing site as completely impervious already? Or is the existing site pervious, since right now there's nothing on the site? But 3 years ago, it was almost paved
Yeah,
property line to property
yeah.
line.
Unfortunately, I don't have the person to help me do the SWIP here, but I know that some of that stuff has rubbleized and turned into, I think it would be considered permeable. So there's still a mix. That's
Okay.
probably, we did, when we surveyed this, just last year, we were able to find out where the contiguous pieces of concrete and whatnot still are. So I'm sure she put that all in her calculations. Yeah.
And based on that, you can get all your stormwater into those small little green spaces.
Well, there's more than, well, let me see, there's a few more than I mentioned here. There's this bigger one here, this one here, but then this is also
Ah,
a strip right here in the parking area. Okay, there's a 5 foot wide strip there. So the idea is that, I mean, if, I don't want to get too deep into water flows, but basically most of the water is coming down towards this center in one way or another. So starting at the back here, you'll hit this first area, that'll drop a bunch of water for treatment. Whatever makes it past that will go into this larger area. All this in here is going to ultimately drain into this area. Over here, it kind of splits here at our driveway and encompasses that area roughly. And then this whole parking lot goes this way into yet another trenched area for stormwater. So there's really, I guess there's probably what, 1, 2, 3, 4 major areas. Okay, in addition, we also are gonna put, we're gonna have trenching or stormwater treatment along the edges of the building, not so much for surface water, but to where we can also tie in our roof drains.
gotcha.
Okay, and allow that to be treated and taken out underground as well. So,
Beautiful.
good.
All right.
Any other questions?
May I ask about parking?
Yes.
Your thoughts on that?
Okay, well, we've requested let me go back to this map here. So we've found that with the array of rooms that we have, we need approximately 292 parking spaces. So that's what we're looking to put in here. So there will be off-street parking for everyone that lives here. They shouldn't need any on-street parking. Okay.
Off-street, but you're not providing any parking. So you're saying 292 spaces are provided and you have that within this?
Yes, that'll all
Okay,
be
so
within this, yes.
That's what I was just making sure that.
Yeah.
that.
Yep,
Thank you
sure.
very much.
Sorry, I didn't understand the question. I apologize.
I guess also related to the parking, it looks like the interior parking lot, it has exterior lighting, but does the parking lot between Slauson and Crandall Street, is there any lighting in that? I didn't see any.
Yeah, you know what? There isn't any shown on here, but yeah, we would have them down the centers of those aisles,
Okay.
those parking lanes. Just
Yeah, I
like we
was-
do over here. I apologize.
I was
Then-
thinking that interior lot was more insulated, I guess, from some of the residences on that street, so that was why I asked. I thought maybe it was intentional because there were a few residents.
No,
there.
it wasn't intentional. They should have had them on there, but I will say too that they would all be dark sky compliant, so we're not gonna have light going into, people's houses from there. They'll all have that shielding on there.
Okay.
Yep.
Should we ask all our questions now, or
I guess that's it for our presentation, really. So anything you
Okay.
have, yeah.
can you just talk a little bit about, so there's 2 properties on Clinton Street and then there's this one little property in the middle there. It looks like you weren't able to purchase.
Oh,
or-
here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you want to just talk about,
I don't know if you want to talk about basically, we weren't able to get those, but yeah.
So the applicant inquired about that property multiple times and we just weren't able to get any kind of any progress made on acquiring that property. So that's why the structures are built in that shaped, that U shape. So it doesn't impact or limit our ability to do what we want to do. We just had to reconfigure the buildings a little bit. But certainly we can provide all of the units and the parking that we need and the stormwater and so forth, even without acquiring that property.
gotcha. So if those, it's mostly the guys on Clinton Street, the properties on Clinton Street, if they wanted to develop those once your building is built, what does that do to the front of your building?
There's already a structure on that lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a house or what?
No, it's a building. It's it's a I think it's a 4-story, if I'm remembering correct, building with a storefront, and I believe there's some residential above it. It's kind of in a dilapidated state, I guess I'll say. But it's the kind of thing where, there are some properties in that area that I think could be improved. And really the kind of the point of this project is to provide that anchor where when you've got some momentum, you've got some building, some economic development, it sparks other property owners to make improvements to their property and has that ripple effect. So we would hope to have that ripple effect for that lot as well.
Gotcha. And the logistics of building a 5-story building with the existing building there, no problem.
From the logistics in terms of from a architectural engineering point of view,
Yeah, if I'm a contractor and I'm bidding this project and I have to make sure I don't mess up this existing house, no problem with how close you've got the building to the property line and.
Yeah, we are, I mean, architecturally, we're required to provide buffer space between the property line and our building construction. Just from a flame spread perspective and some other building code items that trigger as a result of that. So there's some space there. A little further down east side of Clinton where the building wraps back up. We've put that small parking lot there as well to provide a little bit additional buffer space. Excuse me. We don't have a contractor on board with the project, but I've worked on projects like this before. My suspicion is that the existing building shouldn't be an issue for that.
Gotcha. Okay. And I guess kind of the same question, if the person in the house on, sorry, Hudson Street, or in the parcel on Hudson Street, if they decided to build a 2-story apartment building, not that there's really that much room on that property, but does that severely affect your layout, or you just wind up with an apartment building in the middle of your parking lot?
I might be jumping on Steve here, but the access to that lot's not being interrupted by our development at all. There shouldn't really be any issue for their ability to build in the future.
All right. Would it have made things a lot easier for you guys if you were able to get that lot?
we like the challenge.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, Chris.
Can you guys specify what's gonna be handled as phase 1 versus phase 2?
Yeah, Steve touched on this. Steve, why don't you get into phase 1, Steve?
Sure. Okay, so phase 1 will of course be this building here, okay? Phase 2 will be this building here. And the prevailing thought at this time, in talking with Miles from Think City, is that we would probably do all the parking in the first phase to get it all in there. So we get the site grading done, get any soil remediation that's needed done. That's the thought at this point, not to say that couldn't change in design if we look at it further, but that's the thought he left me with this afternoon.
Can those details be specified on an updated set of plans?
Oh, just how the phasing works? Sure.
Yes.
It could be as simple as just a hashed line and then a note that says phase 1 on one side of that line, phase 2 on the other.
Okay, sure, we can do that.
All right. Any other questions?
The actual building, once it's complete, so this is gonna be market rate housing?
So this will be a,
You specified it's not student housing, which is nice and welcome, but
right, so this is going to be workforce housing development. So it'll have, like I said, a mix of 1, 2, 3 bedroom units. The workforce housing means that there are some income limitations on the residents to be, what they do is they find the area median income, and the median and the income level of the residents has to be within a certain percentage of the area median income. But this is not Section 8 subsidized housing in that respect. It's just, all we're doing is restricting the income of the people living there. But what that turns out to be when, you know, you look at the numbers, and you look at the area median income and what's between, you know, 20 and 80% of the AMI. I mean, you're looking at people who are teachers, who are police officers, firefighters, office workers, people who are holding down jobs, who are working, members of the community. And this kind of workforce development housing would be just for that type of, that member of the community.
Thank you for clarifying. I think
Yeah.
having workforce housing is crucial. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions, concerns? We should let them know now. Is anybody opposed to the 2% reduction or allotted increase in lot coverage? So if we made it a conditional approval at the next meeting, nobody's gonna come out of nowhere and be like, absolutely not. All right. And by next meeting, you probably would know if it's 2% or more. If you needed more, you'd know by next meeting. So I think if you have to come back for an extra percent, you got to go through a whole process again. So if you know for sure the percentage that we can approve, then you don't have to come back. So, okay. All right. Then I'll make a motion that the project is a type 1 action under seeker and that the planning commission should act as lead agency for review. Seconded by Kelly, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, 6 in favor, 0 opposed. And I'll just make a motion to schedule a public hearing for the project at 5:20 at our June meeting. Seconded by Kelly, all in favor? All right, 6 in favor, 0 opposed. All right, so we see back in June and we'll open a public hearing and see what people think.
Thank you.
These are really nice plans too, by the way. There's like, there must a ton of time must have been put into these. So, yeah, they're really nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, good job.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Our next seeker determination tonight is for the applicant First Ward Action Council. Project address is 274 Front Street. This is a site plan review and special use permit for the conversion of an existing residential building into a multi-unit dwelling with 4 one-bedroom units in the C1 Service Commercial District. Is the green light on there?
How about that?
There you go. All right.
I'll start again. My name's Mark Parker, Keystone Associates. I'm here representing the applicant, First Ward Action. Unfortunately, Jerry had a conflict tonight and couldn't make it. And also my architect for the project, couldn't make it either. So you're stuck with me, but I think we can get through this part of it. Okay. Tito did a nice job with, explaining the projects. There's not really much to them. As he says, it's, it's a renovation project. We've done a few of these, and this is just another round of them. And I'm here with three different sites, and on 274, we are seeking the site plan review and special use permit for the conversion of an existing residential building into a multi-unit dwelling with 4 one-bedroom units in the C1 service commercial district. The one with the colored building is 274. It just happens to be next door to a 276, which is another property in the development. But that doesn't require planning commission review. But we are putting some parking on that project. We have 4 parking spaces for 274 and 2 parking spaces for 276. We kind of stole their spot. That's pretty much it. Like I said, there's not, it's not like a big development. It's just renovating these blight houses and so that they're affordable and can serve the community.
All right. Are you renovating 276 as well?
Yes.
Okay, so parking and renovating, but that
Right,
one does
right.
not require
Yep.
approval. All right,
And it's
any,
current 276 is currently 2 units and it's going to remain 2 units.
gotcha. All right. Any questions, concerns? Chris?
Yeah, the staff report mentions that there might be an easement necessary from 276 and 274 back and forth for any shared space for parking and like, is this something that you guys have considered for after you guys divest yourself post reconstruction?
No, that really hasn't been approached. I did see that in the report. He's recommending that. The 2 properties are owned by the same owner, and we do realize there's a property line that goes through the kind of not in the right spot, I guess. The parking has to cross, but 276 will have to use the entrance on 274. So if you think easement is required, I guess we'll have to pursue that.
I mean, I think that's a good idea because even though it's the same ownership now, that may not be the case in 25, 50, 100 years. So we want to make sure that whoever's buying the property 276 at some point in, the rest of human history still has access through the 274 entrance and exit.
Right, yeah, we run into that all the time and it's, you're probably correct. It's probably a good idea.
All right.
I
Garv-
just have one question for the seeker document, the part 1 that was submitted. It mentions that brook floater under question 15 as a species listed as threatened or endangered. I don't think there's any brook floater at the site, given its distance from the river, but if you just want to confirm that.
It's probably not, it's probably when you do a
Yeah.
speaker, you put the site in and you get these hits back
Yeah.
from DEC and you just take what they say. But yeah, I would, maybe once years ago, but no, this site's already been developed, so everything is taken care of.
In your extensive time on site, you've not run into a brook floater?
No,
All right.
no, thought I saw one once, but
It's good enough.
it was something else.
All right. Trash, is there a trash plan for the, how do the other houses, they just put it out to the curb?
Yeah,
like normal? Okay. Great.
because not that many. We do have one coming up here in a little bit where we're providing a dumpster because there are multiple units in it, but
All right. All right. No other questions, comments? All right, I'll make a motion that the project is an unlisted action under seeker and that the planning commission should act as the lead agency. Seconded by Kyle, all in favor? All right, that's 6 in favor, 0 opposed. And I'll make a motion to schedule a public hearing at 5:25 at our June meeting. Seconded by Kelly, all in favor? All right, 6 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you.
All right, so that's 274, and I think you're staying right there, huh? All right, so our next seeker determination is for the same applicant, First Ward Action Council. Project address is 249 to 251 Front Street. And this is a site plan review and special use permit for the construction of a multi-unit dwelling with 4 one-bedroom units and an ancillary parking area in the R3 multi-unit dwelling district.
So yes, as you pointed out, this is another one of them on the list. And we're seeking the site plan review and special use permit for the construction of a multi-dwelling unit. This is a new unit. This is a vacant property at the time. So this is a new building. Has 4 one-bedroom units in it. And it's in the C4 neighborhood, commercial district. And again, we're putting 2 parking spaces here for the 249. And then 4 spaces in the back of the building for 251. Oh, I forgot the most important part. We're putting a gazebo and a play area in the back of 249 for the community as well.
All right. All right, so, and this will be the same thing, shared driveway for the 2 buildings.
Yes,
So probably same thing. You just want an easement for,
Well, my question is gonna be, so the staff comment, and maybe I'll have Tito chime in here, says that we as the planning commission should be considering whether or not these 2 parcels should be combined. So Tito, thoughts on combining versus an easement back and forth?
I think it's up to the applicant. I just think that the mix of parking and amenities kind of lends itself to it all being one site so that it's clear that the residents of both buildings can use all of those facilities, but I think an easement sort of does the same thing. It's up to the planning commission.
so that's their choice. If you combine them, you got 2 buildings on one property, that's okay.
Multi-units are allowed there, and that would just be a multi-unit with that many more units, however many are in that white building there. So it would go from a 4 to say 6 if that's a 2-family in that building.
so I guess you'll just decide what you want to do by next meeting or.
Right, yeah, I'll run it by the applicant. He's probably already got a plan. You know, if he'd have come tonight, he could have talked about that or whatever.
Okay.
The gazebo in the back, you mentioned it was open to the public. Were you just referring to the people in the dwellings or?
Well, I would assume just the
Okay,
development community. They're doing several properties. Actually, I had a list of them that on Front Street, 241, 242, 251, 274, 276. All those properties are on Front Street.
okay. Yeah, it was more for clarification. I wasn't sure if there was a legal issue with that. If it was on a private property, that was all. So.
Same secret question as the last one. There's no brook floater on this site.
All right, and same question about trash. Just out to the front
Yes.
on
Yes.
garbage day?
Yep.
Okay,
This one did have something in the staff comments about a dumpster enclosure?
That's just a recommendation, the number of units and the space available. I think a dumpster makes sense. Not necessarily required.
Anybody opposed to just standard trash bags out at the curb versus a dumpster? All right,
Yeah, I wouldn't require it, but it does make sense with that many units.
I can run it by them and if, if they want to put a dumpster out there and, I'm personally not opposed to it.
all right, all right. All right, any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, seeing none. I'll make a motion that this is a unlisted action for seeker review and that the planning commission should act as lead agency for that review.
Second.
Second by Manny, all in favor? All right, 6 in favor, 0 opposed, and I'll make a motion to schedule a public hearing for the project at 5:30 at the June meeting. Second by Chris, all in favor? All right, 6 in favor, 0 opposed. All right, Tito.
Just really quickly, for more than 4 units, a dumpster is not required, but some sort of enclosure is. So a dumpster is not required if there's a carport, garage, or other enclosed area suitable for storage. So that tenants can put it out in that storage area on days where it's not accessible for trash pickup.
So if the properties were combined, then that would constitute a dumpster.
Either way. I
Or did
think,
you
right?
say more, did you say 4 or more than 4?
Residential lots containing 4 or more.
Okay.
So it could be, it could be like a lean-to or something. It doesn't have to be a dumpster, but some sort of enclosure does have to be provided.
Thank you for that clarification.
All right. All right, so our next secret determination is for the applicant First Ward Action Council. And this project address is 41 Clinton Street. This is a site plan review and special use permit for the construction of a mixed-use building with 3 2-bedroom units, 16 1-bedroom units, and 2 ground floor commercial spaces in the C4 Neighborhood Commercial District.
All right, this one, Jerry's working and trying to meet the needs of what he does some research on it and he kind of gets a handle on what the needs are. So they're still kind of settling in on this one. For instance, they're looking at 5 2-bedroom units and 14 1-bedroom units. It's the same number of units, 19, but it's a little bit different configuration. And they're thinking about putting another accessible unit in this building. I want to bring that up because if they put another accessible unit in, then I'll have to put another accessible space in, which means I'll lose a parking space. So just wanted to be clear with that if they do that. I don't want to surprise you with that later. And I just found that out today that they're thinking about that additional accessible unit. I sent Tito, I know was last hour, but I did send him some revisions for the entrances. I believe the site plan that you have has a one-way out onto Clinton Street, right turn only.
Yeah.
So we're turning that into a 2-way, in and out. And I'm tried to improve this entrance over on Murray. We're dealing with that median there. Trying to get that up as high as I can, to make that entrance, better. On your plans, we had a sidewalk there. So I took that sidewalk away, that give me a little bit more room so I could move that up a whisker. Every little bit helps. I know it's not much, but tried to improve it a little bit, and that's the improvements I sent Tito, this afternoon.
Gotcha. Is there a sidewalk on Murray Street there currently?
Yes,
So you'd be taking out the sidewalk?
no,
No.
I'm sorry, I misled you. Your plans have an interior sidewalk along the parking lot.
Oh, gotcha.
So we removed that sidewalk so that I can get closer to the building, so I can improve that entrance.
Okay.
It gave me a little bit. I think that building may be 2 foot further from the property line as well. And they just took 2 foot off the building. I think the floor plans that we sent in had a community space on the second floor, which instead of doing that, they kind of squeezed those units together, and that's how they were able to take a couple more feet off that building for me.
Gotcha. All right. Any questions?
I noticed on the plan, it looks like the actual parking spaces is less than the zoning and code required amount. And you mentioned there may be an additional accessible space required.
That is correct. Yes, and that's why I wanted to bring that up. If they do that accessible unit, that's going to be one more or less. What is it, 21 and 23 now?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so if they do that accessible unit, obviously I gotta provide another accessible space, which comes with an access aisle, which will take away another parking space. So if they do that.
Okay.
So that'll knock it down to 20.
I guess similarly, the lot coverage is above the 70% I noticed as well, so there we would have to do the. approve
Yeah,
the
no.
additional.
I think sidewalks are included in that lot coverage. Is that correct?
No,
Okay.
no, just building footprints and paved areas used for vehicles driving and parking.
All right, so taking away the sidewalk didn't help me there. The percentage remains.
Chris, yeah.
The staff report mentions submitting a landscape plan or modifying the existing site plan to show compliance with landscaping requirements. Is that something you're prepared to do in advance of a public hearing next month?
Yeah, hopefully, yes. So we realize we do need to do that. Like I said, that this building was a moving target. We designated some landscape areas, if you notice on the plan, but we don't have specific landscaping yet. The trees may be a problem, the perimeter trees, for the requirement. We'll obviously do the best we can. I know we discussed, it's 43.5 Clinton Street. I don't know where that comes from. It's a little triangle, which, we were kind of thinking that we could do some nice landscaping in there, to help buffer, but that's still in progress. Good question.
Is this too much building for this site?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just.
Yeah.
The constructability, like seeing the minimal buffers and everything, the constructability of this whole thing is a very tight.
Well, we're trying to provide the much needed housing.
Yeah,
And I think that's important to be able to do that.
Nick, I need clarification. I can't approve the best we can.
yeah.
You know what I mean? That just that's not a,
I'm looking too at the street view of the surrounding streets, and it looks like both of the streets that adjoin have no parking available on either side as well. So just something to know if we're under the parking space dwelling units, something to consider.
Hmm. All right. Well, in the current configuration of the building, do you need any variances for setbacks or are there any setbacks?
Oh, we meet,
No, there's no front or side setback requirement. There's only a rear setback requirement, and that's being met.
Okay. Is there any chance, was this building designed for a different site and it was just cookie cuttered onto this one and,
no, it was designed specifically. I mean, after
was.
the site was picked, it's just,
okay,
trying to get the appropriate number of units for the whole project.
okay.
It's a need. So we're
Yeah.
trying to satisfy that need.
All right. All right, well, it looks like the planning staff supports both the reduction in parking requirements and increase in lot coverage because the applicant's proposal strikes a balance between providing sufficient parking without significantly exceeding the maximum lot coverage by over paving the lot, so planning department is in support of the project, Cheeto? Is that an accurate statement? All right. Any other questions, concerns? Anything they could do differently between now and the next meeting that might, if anybody was thinking negatively about their vote on the project, that could sway their opinion that we could talk about now?
So yeah, so for the applicant's sake, I think many of my colleagues here know that I am very particular about parking requirements. I don't know if I've ever voted in favor of waiving parking requirements, so I'm not gonna speak for anybody else. I'm looking for 23 parking spots.
Actually, do you want to address that, the traditionally based on who the people are that are using the other buildings that this particular applicant constructs buildings for? Parking wise, traditionally, those other spaces or other places, they have a lot of cars or,
No, they don't. Actually, it's
Okay.
quite the opposite.
okay,
These parking spaces may not be utilized for this type of development and the people that they're gonna be
okay.
geared toward.
Just,
I think it's worth noting that there are multiple bus stops right next to the property on both sides as
okay.
well.
As far as you know, the First Ward Action Council has no plans of selling the building off next year, as soon as they build the building? Or-
No,
So- okay.
I don't think they've ever done that,
Okay,
that I know of.
okay. All right, anything else that might be controversial at the next meeting that we should talk about now? We don't surprise.
I
anybody?
remember possibly approving a crematorium across the street. I don't know if that ever moved forward, though. Thank goodness.
Yeah,
Mhm.
all right. Well, I guess you've heard the general comments from everybody. So
Looks like one against the parking.
one against parking and.
Well, I think
some
that's
ge-
the only negative comment that I've heard.
Yes, well, some general negativity towards the size of the building versus the size of the property. And for me, it's more the geometry of the building doesn't seem to fit with the size of the property. I'm not opposed to the square footage or it's just, it looks like there's some odd green space left that doesn't, that's why I asked if it was a cookie cutter designed plop down here, because it doesn't seem to reflect the property that it's been placed on. So just an observation. But All right. If there's nothing else, I'll make a motion that the project is an unlisted action under seeker and that the planning commission should act as lead agency.
Second.
Seconded by Mario. I'm sorry, seconded by Manny. All in favor?
Aye.
6 in favor, 0 opposed. And I'll make a motion to schedule a public hearing for the project at 5:35 at our June meeting. Seconded by Chris and Kelly. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, 6 in favor, 0 opposed. All right.
Thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you. All right, we've got one more seeker determination for the applicant Owen Bly. Project address is 162 Water Street. This is the site plan modification review for the modification of an existing ancillary parking area to add an additional 5 parking spaces in the C2 Downtown Business District. Welcome.
I had some facial reconstruction to look like Mark Unati. My name is Owen Bly. Good evening. I'm filling in for Owen Bly. He's out of town. So I'll do the best I can with the notes and information he has provided to me. You go first.
What's that?
I said, you guys go first.
Oh, if you want to just describe what he's planning to do.
I believe he's looking to add some additional parking spaces in the rear of 33 Court Street. It's a little bit confusing because it appears that there was an easement back there that was maybe accidentally they constructed some parking spots and some greenery space. So I think he is trying to attempt to remove or cut back some of those trees. Going through his notes, it doesn't sound like he's eliminating any of the greenery, trimming it back, and he's agreed to replant. If that's the case, it doesn't affect stormwater. You guys were all provided with the diagram, I'm assuming.
Yes.
So I know that there were some questions asked and comments, which he provided me, and I answers. The proposal is an unlisted action under seeker. His response, no need to worry about this. I have to fill out the form, and I'm doing that per Tito's instructions. Correct, Tito? Okay. 2, the proposal will result in approximately 97.5% lot coverage, where 90% is the maximum allowed. The planning commission can increase the allowable lot coverage to 95%. However, if the greenery space is less than 5% of total parking lot area, applicant must seek a variance. His response, I am waiting for George Haas to tell me if the proposed greenery space covers 5% of the area or not. If the current proposed plan is not at least 5% greenery space, then I will apply for the variance. The city estimated that my proposal is only 2.5% green space, but there is an alleyway on the west side of the parking lot that should not be counted as pavement space. George Haas will confirm the percentage before the meeting tomorrow. I'm guessing this is yesterday's email. Number 3, the applicant should submit a landscape plan to confirm that any damaged planting areas will be replanted in kind. I can do this, but I challenge if it's necessary. There are currently 3 overgrown bushes planted in the only greenery space that will be modified. I plan to keep these exact same 3 bushes and trim them nicely so there's no change in plants. Simply, the garden bed the plants live in will be a few feet thinner, and the bushes will be trimmed cleaner. If I must submit a landscaping plan, what would qualify? Do I just tell you what plants there are now and illustrate them? How do I make the illustrations? Does it have to be done by a professional or some sort? I don't want to pay an engineer to say I'm keeping the same bushes that are currently there. I feel like I'm a good storyteller. That's right, for my new 16-week-old. The landscape, number 4, the landscape area proposed to be removed may contain stormwater infrastructure. Applicant should confirm the existing stormwater retention capacity of the site will not be reduced. I can confirm that it will not be reduced. The idea is to pour a raised parking pad that will maintain the existing storm drain and it will sit level with the storm drain lid. There will be a gradual curb allowing vehicles to park on a slightly raised pad. Let me know if this makes sense.
All right, some of those answers don't make 100% sense with what's there versus what's proposed, but Tito, you look like you might have clarification.
Just for the last one, there's a large cistern in that bed. And what Owen is saying is that won't be modified, and the existing grate in the center of that bed that water flows into is going to stay there.
Correct.
And then instead of a plant bed around it, it'll be concrete.
Gotcha.
That,
All right.
if he could just put a note on the site plan that says that, that would be good. And then for the landscape plan, it would just show the size, location, and species of the plantings. It doesn't have to, be like an accurate rendering of the plant. It would just be, the location with some sort of symbol and a key saying, this is this is that.
But it
is he-
sounds like nothing's really changing.
He's not gonna-
Trimming it back.
Okay, I didn't know if during construction, those beds would be disturbed in
Disturbed,
any
yeah.
way. If it's the case that he's not going to disturb them, then he can put on their plans to remain or something like that
Okay.
on the site plan.
All right,
Yeah, I think the confusion was because the plan said repair planting areas. So that's why we thought that they were ripping them out and,
Yep.
yeah.
as far as you know, the reason he's doing this is because he needs to reestablish that easement for access back to the other parcel.
I can't give you
Okay,
what I can tell you on a personal note is that anytime there's an option to add a couple additional parking spaces, it adds value to the building in a downtown that's busier right now with less parking. I sometimes just think that members have to figure out whether the juice is worth the squeeze. If you want trees and bushes or parking spaces.
all right. I guess the only other question is the extra spaces that he put in there. So he would need, well, Tito, you can correct me if I'm wrong, he would need 24 foot between the parking space that's existing on the north side and the new proposed spaces for certain, to meet the layout requirements for a parking lot. You wouldn't happen to know if, there's no dimensions on the plan, it's hard to tell. You wouldn't happen to know if he has 24 foot clear between.
I do not. And
Okay.
he may have it at one end based on how I'm gonna guess yes, based on his drawing, because it's wider towards the front and it
Yeah.
kind of tapers down in the back, and that's why you'll see that there's 2 horizontal versus vertical spaces. Or parallel, I should say.
He did say to me verbally that there were 24 feet,
Okay.
but to your point, that should be noted, that dimension should be noted on the drawing.
Yeah, if you could throw a dimension on there, that'd be great. All right. Because the parallel spaces, I can't imagine anybody actually trying to park there and parallel park alongside the building, but, or the way he's got them marked out, but he can do whatever he wants, I guess.
I think you'd be surprised.
Yeah. All right, any other questions, concerns, comments? All right. Seeing none, I'll make a motion that the project is an unlisted action under seeker and that the planning commission should be the lead agency for review. Second by Kelly, all in favor?
Aye.
6 in favor, 0 opposed. And I'll schedule a public hearing for 5:40 at our June meeting. A motion to schedule public hearing. Second by Kelly, all in favor? All right, 6 in favor, 0 opposed.
I'm not going anywhere. There's another one, I think.
Oh. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, that concludes seeker determinations. All right, so now we'll move on to public hearings and final deliberations. In this portion of our meeting, we'll be holding open public hearings to obtain public opinion in regard to specific projects that are up for review. Applicants will be asked to come to the microphone and make a brief presentation describing their project. For most projects, this is the second time we were reviewing your information, so it would be very helpful if you could please give us a brief overview of your project to remind us what you're planning, and then clearly identify any changes that have been made since the last time we saw you. When the applicant is done presenting and any clarifications have been reviewed, we will open the public hearing and allow members of the community to speak about the applicant's proposal. After the commission has heard from all community members interested in speaking tonight, the public hearing will be closed and the commission will deliberate. To our applicants, when your project name is called, please come to the microphone and start off by giving the name and address of any members of the applicant's team that is planning to speak. And to anyone from the community that will be speaking in regard to a project tonight, we ask that you please also start off by stating your name and address for our records. All right. So tonight, our first public hearing is for the applicant, Owen Bly. Project address is 61 Prospect Ave. And this is a project for the construction of a 500 square foot storage shed on a mixed use lot in the C1 Service Commercial District.
Again, from what I'm told, it's a 20 by 25 engineered shed that'll be placed on the existing maybe pea stone or pebbles, no foundation or anything, no electric, no power, no mechanicals, just simply a area to store tools or any type of storage.
All right. Anyone have any questions, concerns to start off with? All right, so let's open the public hearing and see if there's anybody here to speak about the project. All right, so this is the public hearing for the Tito?
I'm sorry. So if you'll note, this is secret type 2 and does not require a special use permit, and it's an accessory structure, which makes it eligible for a waiver of the public hearing. So that's the planning commission decision, whether or not you want to waive the public hearing for it. We did not notice. We did not do legal noticing for it. So
Okay,
if you want a public hearing for this, then we'll go
Gotcha.
to the typical 2-meeting process where he introduced the project and now you'll schedule it for next month. But if you don't feel the need for a public hearing, the code doesn't allow you to waive it in this case.
all right. Anybody opposed to,
Was there anybody here who wanted to speak on it? I think so, okay.
Well, they didn't have notice.
everybody okay with waiving a public hearing for this project?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we're not going to open a public hearing for this project.
I would suggest entertain a motion to waive
All right.
public hearing.
All right, anybody want to make a motion to waive the public hearing? All right, motion by Kelly to waive the public hearing, second by Chris, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, 6 in favor, 0 opposed. All right, so tonight we're just looking for a site plan review approval,
And
Alright.
we'll need to declare it a type 2 action.
type 2 action. Great. You want those as separate motions or can they
Yes,
be
please.
combined? All right. So I'll make a motion that the action is a type 2 action under seeker and that no further environmental review is required. Second by Kyle, all in favor?
Aye.
6 in favor, 0 opposed. And I'll make a motion that the requirements for, wait, nobody had any other comments about this, right? All right, I'll make a motion that the requirements for site plan review have been met. second by Chris, all in favor? All right, 6 in favor, 0 opposed.
Great.
All right,
Thank you so much.
thanks.
Appreciate it.
All right, our next public hearing tonight is for the applicant Centerline Communications LLC. Project address is 30 Brown Street. This is a site plan review and special use permit for the construction of a 110-foot tall telecommunications tower and associated antennas in the I-2 Light and Medium Industrial District. I do just want to mention that I was not at the last meeting, but I watched the YouTube feed, and so I'm up to speed on everything that was talked about at the last meeting. So, all right, welcome back.
All right, good evening. So my name is Jeff Twitty. I'm an attorney at Nixon Peabody here tonight on behalf of AT&T and City Switch. As you said, we're proposing a 110-foot monopole style telecommunications tower at 30 Brown Street. To give a recap of what we've done before this board so far, we came here for our first meeting in March. At that meeting, it was requested that we provide additional materials regarding the project, and we thereafter at the April meeting provided photo simulations of what the proposed tower would look like, a revised RF report as well. At that meeting, there were some additional concerns about the fall zone of the tower and how it would impact adjacent properties, as well as the right of way of the adjacent railroad to the property. And last Friday, we submitted to the city and this commission as well some additional information about the fall zone, how it would work, including a diagram and revised site plan showing that the fall zone with the 60-foot break point incorporated into the tower would only be about 50 feet and would stay out of that railroad right of way.
All right. Any new questions, comments before we open a public hearing? Actually, did we close the public hearing at the last meeting?
No, I believe we left it open because of the additional materials being submitted.
Great. All right. Any questions, comments before we continue the public hearing from last meeting? All right. Well, let's do this. We'll open the public hearing back up and see if anybody wants to talk about the project tonight, and then we'll have you come back down to the microphone. All right, so this is the public hearing for the continuation of the public hearing for Centerline Communications LLC. Project address is 30 Brown Street. And this is the site plan review and special use permit for the construction of a 110-foot tall telecommunications tower and associated antennas in the I-2 Light and Medium Industrial District. If there's anybody that would like to speak about the project, please come to the microphone. Yes, we are, sorry, we are doing 5-minute limits then. Thank you.
I had anticipated hearing, oh, I'm sorry. My name is Peg Smith. We own the business at 40 Brown Street, right next door to where this proposed tower is going to be, possibly. So anyhow, we're very concerned because of our tractor trailers that come in, pull in to the end of the parking, at the end of our facility, and we're afraid that you put up trees or whatever, and it's a very small space there that you're putting a 70 by 70 foot pad in and whatever else and what. So we are concerned. We do have 53-foot tractor trailers that back in there. And we were asked last meeting about, can they go to the other side? Well, that's the side that has the capability of unloading. You know, they have the, I don't know what it's called. The, you know, you have to drive the forklift truck inside the truck. That's where that is. It's on that end of the building. So we are concerned about that and concerned about any radiation, whatever might come out of the tower. because there are people that live on that street and we work in that building and we're very close. And I have AT&T and I have very good coverage, so I'm like, what am I gonna get better for this? And it's a busy street. It might, as I said, it might not be the prettiest street in the city of Binghamton, but there are a lot of people, a lot of businesses, a lot of tractor trailers, a lot of other places that do use that road. And I am just concerned for the people in that neighborhood, ourselves included, and other businesses. So, and I didn't hear what the additional pieces that you're offering tonight. So, our concern was if it tipped over or something crazy happened, would it fall on our facility? So, that's all I have to say. And
All right,
thank you for your time.
thank you. Anybody else? All right.
Good evening, all. My name is Jim Spear. I own several properties all around this proposed tower. I live there, I work there, I have several businesses there, and I represent all the people that rent for me that have, sub businesses in my lots. These guys are asking for you to do 100% of a setback requirement. The first people who are here said they're allowed to go 5% over their allowance for a zoning requirement. These guys are asking for a 59-foot tower to be a 110-foot tower, plus another 10-foot for a lightning rod of whatever is on top. The fall zone, if they cut it in half and 60, they've only got 31 feet on each side. So if it falls over 60 feet of it fall over, it's going to be on the railroad. It's going to be on Brown Street. It's going to hit my building. It's going to hit Peg and Bill's parking lot. So these guys are asking not to just for a variance. They're asking to ignore your zoning, our zoning, Binghamton zoning. I live there. I look out the back of my house and I have Ansco building, which was a beautiful restoration. And that is 4 stories high with a part on top. And that's only in the 75-foot range for a whole building. This thing is going to tower above it and ruin the other half of my view from my house. They do put off radiation. I'm there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, living there, working there. And I'm concerned with the health stuff. I'm concerned with it knocking over. I have maintained this property for over 20 years. People illegally dump on the back street. People cut through from the railroad tracks, and I've maintained that property for over 20 years. And if these guys get permitted to do this, I'm going to fight for adverse possession for the property. There's already a deeded right of way into my property because they used to bring block in for Bowen Block Company. And who knows, maybe I'm in the car business. Maybe I want to ship out cars by train soon. So I'd like to be able to still have that easement at my opportunity. So like I said, I don't think they have any rights to shoehorn a huge project that should be in the country or out where there's enough space for it to be, not ruining a neighborhood. And we already have perfect coverage there. So I don't know what they're looking for. I think it's just a monetary thing because they don't want to rent from Verizon or whoever else has got towers up, and they're looking to expand and put not just theirs, they're looking to put up 2 more tenants on it. So this thing's going to be just a behemoth in the sky above my house and my business that I have to live with for the rest of my life. So I would like you guys to turn this project down. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else who would like to speak about the project? And did we get any new letters directly to the planning department on this one? No, all right. No letters directly to the department, planning department. All right. That was at the last meeting, yep. No. All right. Seeing nobody else approaching the microphone, I think we'll close the public hearing. All right, if you guys could come back up. So you can respond to any comments that were made or
Of course.
talk about whatever you want.
So just to address the health and radiation concerns first, in our Exhibit G that was included in our initial application to the city, it does show that, this tower and the antennas, related to it will be well within the FCC's threshold for electromagnetic energy emissions. So there would be no danger presented to anybody, in the vicinity of the tower. Regarding concerns about the fall zone, as shown in the updated Exhibit V, with the revised site plan showing the fall zone radius, will be entirely on our parcel, or the fall zone will be entirely on our parcel, will be outside of the railroad right of way. So there's no real, issue with the, tower going on to adjacent parcels in the very unlikely case of a tower failure. We also would not be blocking access into any other adjacent parcels. I've taken a look at the site plan and I struggle to see how exactly that could happen.
Yes, Chris, sorry.
You referenced the newly submitted Exhibit V. If you don't mind looking at that. Of
course.
I must specifically right now I'm looking at within Exhibit V, sheet number S1. It's got the bid reg circle on it.
S1, sorry.
S1, yes.
So I'm not sure that I follow. I
don't know. I'm looking at this.
Oh, okay.
I guess in the bottom corner of that page, it says sheet number S1. No?
I have sheet CA 100, if we're looking at the same one.
So we're all on that sheet. So two questions. Can you describe the significance on record of the red circle that's labeled R equals 50 feet?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So are you looking at this letter? Because this one has the red circle.
Yes.
So here,
The page right after that.
That map.
perfect. Yeah. So that's a 50-foot radius. So that would be the fall zone of the tower with the collapse point.
And that red circle is superimposed over some sort of GIS, Google Earth imagery. There's some visible tree canopy on this photo right now. This is a recent, like from last fall or something, that shows where the current trees are, right? It's not 40 years ago. This is a recent photo that shows where pavement is and gravel is and.
I can confidently say it's not 40 years ago, but that said, I can't confirm exactly when this photo had been taken. Correct. Yep.
Yeah, you could.
May we ask you, Mr. Spears, does that photo accurately represent that? Yeah, that.
You have a copy of that?
Yeah, does that look?
I'm walking towards you.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry. We thought you had that.
Thanks, Kelly.
That isn't accurate. This isn't accurate because to this property line, it's only 31 feet. This property line, it's only 34 feet. So they don't have it accurate because 50 feet, it's gonna be 50 feet all the way around. If it breaks off halfway at 50 feet, then you're gonna have, it's 100-foot radius, not a 50-foot radius. Because it's 50 feet in every direction. So that's not even close to being accurate. That's only a 25-foot. Because here's the markings on their drawings. 34.5 feet and 31.5 feet. So 50 feet is going to go on my property and her property. So that's only half the radius. So that's only half the circle.
All right, that's probably where we should end our.
So I will point out that these are engineered submitted drawings. And obviously, if there's an issue with the drawings and their accuracy, that engineer is going to have a problem with their license and their insurance. So just something to consider is whether or not these drawings are accurate.
I'd just like to add to that. A very, very rough measurement with a significant margin of error from GIS gives 138 feet width of that area between 40 Brown and 2 Brown. So the area that we're calling 30 Brown has 138 feet or so of frontage on Brown Street. In other words, a 100-foot diameter as shown on this drawing appears to be more or less the scale.
Accept if you want. I mean, it's already in the record.
Yeah, Tito, do you mind if we, just so we have a record of what somebody else is claiming? All right, it looks like Tito is probably clarifying the difference in dimensions. Anybody have any other follow-up questions for the applicant?
The red circle can explain on the record.
Okay. Okay. All right.
What they have shows roughly 120 feet. It was
Okay.
just a misreading of the numbers.
Okay. All right, and let's just circle back to the original staff report comments just to make sure we've covered them and we don't miss anything. So in the revised set of plans that you submitted, you changed the gravel access driveway to asphalt. That's correct?
Correct.
Correct. You planted evergreens along the front of the property line.
Correct.
We're working through the setback requirement.
Yes, we're working with the ZBA.
You've already stated that the antenna will be operated only at FCC designated frequencies and power levels.
Correct.
You're planning to inspect every 2 years?
Yes.
Is that a code requirement or
Yes, I believe that's a city code requirement.
city code requirement?
We will
Great.
comply.
All right, that appears to be all the staff comments. All right. All right, well. Any other discussion points or? We're good? All right, so, oh, Tito?
I'm sorry. Do you have a microphone up there? No, I'm sorry. I'm talking to Sal up there. Did you have a comment about from Shade Tree Commission?
Yeah, so we have a shade tree commission for the city and they recommended a species of trees that could be planted for the landscaping. This is just a recommendation. They don't have to, the applicant doesn't have to do the specific thing. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick.
So Shade Tree Commission gives an advisory opinion on any site plans that require plantings or the planting of trees. And so in this case, they reviewed it and they recommended a specific species.
What was the species?
I think he's looking it up.
I was given it was a eastern red cedar. And there's a Latin name I don't want to pronounce.
So we can, if the planning commission just wants to go along with their recommendation, you could add that as a condition of approval.
If you guys would like to.
Oh, okay.
It's a great tree. Yes, it's a fantastic recommendation, so.
We'll put if you vote to include their recommendation, we'll spell it out in the decision letter.
You don't have any opposition or you're not opposed to a eastern?
That works
cedar?
with us.
Eastern woodlock. Okay. All right. All right, so I'm gonna make a motion. We already decided at the first meeting that the planning commission was lead agency and that this was an unlisted action under seeker. So I'll make a motion for a negative declaration under seeker. So based on the following items, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations? No or small impact. Will the proposed action result in a change in the use or intensity of use of land? No or small impact. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? Small impact. Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of a critical environmental area? No or small impact. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walkways? No or small impact. Will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? No or small impact. Will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies or public or private wastewater treatment utilities? No. Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? No or small impact. Will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources? No or small impact. Will the proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No or small impact. And will the proposed action create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No or small impact. So based on those items, I'll make a motion for a negative declaration under seeker review. Seconded by Chris, all in favor? Okay, so all in favor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, 5 in favor, Kelly abstaining. All right, 5 in favor, 1 abstention. All right, and I'll make a motion that the requirements for site plan review and special use permit have been met contingent on the applicant specifying that the trees that are going to be planted meet the recommendations from the Shade Tree Commission.
And also the granting of the height variance by the zoning board.
That's already been approved, or that?
No, it hasn't been approved. So this approval should be conditioned on ZBA approval.
And conditional approval based on the applicant receiving the required zoning variances. All right,
I'll second that motion with the two conditions.
all right, seconded by Chris, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so that's 5 in favor. All right, and 1 abstention from Kelly on that. So it's 5 in favor, 1 abstaining. All right. So that's an approval.
Was for site plan and special use?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you.
All right. When is the zoning board meeting?
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. All right. All right. On to our last public hearing. So tonight, the last public hearing is for the applicant Family Enrichment Network. Project address is 245 to 249 Washington Street. This is a site plan review and special use permit for the conversion of floors 1 and 2 of an existing building into a daycare center in the C2 Downtown Business District. Did it get turned off again?
That's better.
There.
I'm Ken Gay. I'm from Keystone Associates, 58 Exchange Street, Binghamton is our office address. I'm here on behalf of Family Enrichment Network to present this project. There's been no changes since the last time we met. There is on the outside of the building. Inside the building, we're just pushing and shoving some things based on existing conditions. I have that floor plan. It hasn't really changed numbers or anything like that, other than there may be one classroom we go from 15 to 18 children in, if we can fit them in. But essentially, the floor plan's the same one that you have. So we would still have, on the first level, we would have 6 classrooms that we're proposing, 3 for Head Start toddler and 3 for Head Start infant. And then up in the upper floor, initially we'll have 2 Head Start classrooms with a proposed 3rd one.
All right. Any questions before we open the public hearing? All right, you probably can sit right there if you want to. All right, this is the public hearing for the applicant Family Enrichment Network. Project address is 245 to 249 Washington Street. This is a site plan review and special use permit for the conversion of floors 1 and 2 of an existing building into a daycare center in the C2 Downtown Business District. If there's anybody who would like to speak about the project, please come to the microphone. And did we receive any letters? All right, no letters and nobody approaching the microphone. So we will close the public hearing. All right. Nothing too wacky about this. All right, so in the last meeting, it was determined that this was a type 2 action under seeker and that no further environmental review was required. So I'll make a motion that the requirements for site plan review and special use permit have been met.
Second.
All right, second by Manny, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, 6 in favor, 0 opposed. Oh, man, we should have had you go first.
Yeah.
I'm always last. I got a lot of work done.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Is there a timeline on when they're, Oh, great. Okay. All right, awesome. All right, well, that concludes public hearings and final deliberations. On to other business. So we've got 110 Fairview Ave decision extension.
So I can kind of clarify this. This is basically just to clarify what the planning board did. The planning board approved the project as presented with the one condition on it. Part of that presentation was the extension of the timeline for that approval. And so, I mean, if you guys want to confirm that was the understanding was that there was the approval with the extension. But again, that's what was presented and that's what was approved by the planning board. It's sort of just, if you guys wanted to clarify that as part of what your approval was, but you don't need to do it if you don't want to.
I mean, does it help things if clarification is made?
It's not going to hurt anything.
Not gonna hurt anything? Is anybody opposed to clarifying that the extension was part of the approval?
I'm recusing myself from this project. and
That's
have
right.
been- I'm recusing myself from this project because I have been for the last 2 months, so.
Yeah. I probably should stay out of this one too, since I wasn't there for the actual approval at the last meeting. Nor was Mario, so
Oh, boy.
3 people voting, is that okay?
That's not a quorum anyway, so,
Oh.
you know, discussed, and then we don't think it's necessary for you to make a vote on this anyway, so.
Okay.
We'll include in the decision letter the extended timeline.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's all that was just tying everything up with that.
All right. All right.
There you go.
And then the other item under other business is the climate action plan.
Hello, everybody. I hope you had a chance to review what we had sent out earlier. Okay. The climate action plan itself has been updated, but there's a few things that I want added to it. We did have the heat vulnerability index map has been incorporated into the plan. But I wanted a little bit more clarification on some of the graphs. But what I really wanted to speak about tonight is the goals that we had worked with comments to address from the previous review. But did anyone have any additional comments on the actual plan report itself that you'd like to share? Okay. All right, well, let's move on to the goals then.
Wait, Chris, do you have anything to talk about?
Yes, Dr. Burling, I did want to I know this is something I brought up 2 months ago when you made your first presentation on the first draft, something I included in my written commentary that was submitted through Basecamp. Just referencing everybody in their hymnals, I'm looking at page 2-2. I still have concerns with the equity language that's included in the draft. I'm a believer in equality, not in equity. One of the founding principles of America is the idea of equal opportunities, not equal outcomes. And while I support equality considerations, I oppose equity considerations. I feel these types of equity considerations will, among other things, distort development away from market rate housing to affordable housing within the city. I think Binghamton would benefit from more new market rate housing and, dare I speak it, gentrification.
Understood. But the intent of including it in this report, and I did modify that section a little, is to recognize the fact that in terms of flooding, heat vulnerability, extreme weather impacts, we are a disadvantaged community and there's no way that we have poverty levels. So it's just to provide extra planning for those who can't evacuate, that don't have vehicles, or isolated elderly who have no backup support, need extra assistance. So that's factored in our hazard mitigation plan as well. So in terms of equity considerations, it just, we can change the title if you'd like, but we're still a disadvantaged community. But if, what would you like me to, what would we change it to? Just disadvantaged community discussions? Because this, we are labeled that.
If I was drafting this, I probably would eliminate those entire 3 paragraphs.
Okay, I
But-
can't do that. All right, I can't. I mean, in terms of resiliency
Disagree
plan,
on what should or shouldn't be
Yeah,
included. That's fine.
but-
We don't have to be unanimous here.
I agree, but it's just, this is what Binghamton is. I'm not promoting it. I'm not saying we need more affordable housing. I'm saying with a percentage of our, a large percent of our population that can't respond to climate impact the way other people can. So that's.
Just to offer an opposing opinion, I would say it's important to have it in there as well. So
Yeah.
just want to state that as well. I think it's important to have it in there. So I appreciated the way it was included and written.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, but I could change that to disadvantaged community considerations. Because that's what we are officially designated as, a disadvantaged community. So based on different assessments. Would that, I mean, that would just take the equity out, because I understand your comment there.
Let's move on to
All right, we'll move on. I'll put a little. Okay. Okay, or any other comment? We're good? Okay. So we did add the heat vulnerability index map. And I'm asking, well, I'm gonna add in, I want a little spot put in there showing exactly where Binghamton is, because we are pretty much in the middle of the highest vulnerability, but it's kind of small. So I'm including that in a description on what the vulnerability index reviews. It's the a language vulnerability. We have a higher percentage of non-primary English speaking populations, socioeconomic vulnerability, low income. The environmental vulnerability is a high percentage of urban landscape as it is. The elderly vulnerability aspect, which shows a high percentage of elderly individuals who do live alone without support. So those are the 4 vulnerability index that I'm going to have. I'm writing it in because it wasn't well explained. The graphic was put in, but nothing else. So that, and all of these, the written report supports the goals, kind of justifies why we're setting these as goals. Okay, so moving on. I don't know if you'd noticed, but we indicate a percentage of additional greenhouse gas reductions for next target. We indicated a net zero and energy efficiency, or wait, net zero carbon and energy efficient city facilities. So what we're working towards with this residential and the community is our goal is to produce the energies is, which means that we're really going to focus on conservation initiatives. So if we use less, we should produce hopefully enough to offset that. And with the net zero carbon is the same thing. We would create carbon sinks to offset carbon production on a declining scale. Okay. So that's just that right there. Those are the first 2 goals. Do you want me to read through individual actions or for each goal?
Do you want to go through every one or?
No, not. No, it's, I'm gonna miss Jeopardy as it is, so you know, sorry. But I am gonna read through the goals, but the recommended action we're planning on doing to achieve those goals. Okay, and some of these we are already currently doing, so. did everybody have a chance to read through the actions? Those are really, directing the city. So for example, under goal 1, reducing carbon, net zero carbon and energy efficient cities. For our facility, city-owned facilities, we would be benchmarking our annual city energy use and greenhouse gas emissions in an Energy Star portfolio. We would adopt a municipal energy master plan, which is we'll be developing one with our energy service provider. Let's see. Yeah, meeting 5% of municipal building energy needs from on-site renewable energy production. And continuing to purchase renewable energy certificates. Okay. So as far as the community goes, it will be prioritizing city incentives, grants, forgivable loans, and low interest loans for residential energy efficiency improvement and conversion to electric production. Is this working or is it just me?
What if we did this? Because we already went through all of these
Yeah.
one time. Are there any ones that have changed since the last time? Because
The ones that were changed were addressing the land use goals, part 2, transportation and land use, reducing community fossil fuel usage, reducing fuel consumption within the municipal government operations, reducing energy consumed and greenhouse gas emissions as a consequence of land use. So these were just tweaked and following comments that we had received. And there was some concern with like requiring that phrase, so we took that out. We're going to be hoping to increase number of publicly available charging stations, providing charging station locations, but we're going to promote and incentivize alternate forms of transportation. And I believe that had said require the use of, so.
Right.
Right. For municipal employees. Let's see, developing a fleet management plan, supporting virtual meetings instead of requiring virtual meetings. But supporting them where practical with hardware, software, considering a virtual meeting room for department use. It's more cost effective than having individual computers, but it's just an option. Funding a complete street and smart growth study for planning options to support compact community development. So that was changed, focusing on infill projects, which is exactly what we're discussing tonight. Building on parking lots, things like that. So that's something we would probably get a grant to do. And I could see it going along with our comprehensive plan, which is about ready for an update. So including in that plan, smart growth studies. Identifying suitable areas for increased residential density opportunities, that was changed. Identifying areas for reduced parking requirement opportunities. We modified the previous goal as well. Identifying areas and then develop policy for establishing low emission zones. Those are environmentally sensitive areas or something else that would trigger it. Okay, and I think those are just the two. That was the major changes, I believe.
Yeah, I think those were elegant changes and hard to argue with.
Well, sometimes when we write goals, I get a little bit, must do it. But the goal is this is what you hope to achieve. It's not the end all. Let's see. We did make some changes. Well, since we started writing this, we now have the Commission for the Conservation of the Environment. And within section 4 of the goals, we discussed open space policies and open space inventories, which from what I understand, that's something that commission is to be doing. It's in chapter 18. So I'm would like to be working with them on this. So I'm going to add that in coordination with the Conservation for the Environment Commission. So that's something that I haven't added in yet, but that will be added. So there's a couple instances around that discuss open space inventory. We're going to work in coordination with them, raising money for that. And an open space conservation plan is based on the inventory. And I had my environmental planning class conduct an open space inventory for Binghamton 2 years ago. And we based it on just the Broome County GIS portal and measured and identified percentage of pretty much what is open space that's green and what's open space that's gray. And it gives a very good idea of future development locations and potentially impacted areas. So it would lead to hopefully a better understanding of infill as well as areas that really need to be set aside, like riverbanks. You know, we really can't develop on them anyway, but they're not, there's no designation. So, okay. So that's the only addition I had, was adding coordination with the Commission on Environmental Conservation into the actions. And I don't believe anything else was changed except for just kind of reducing the draconian language to study, identify versus required.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you for all your work.
Yeah.
We're hoping to get this finalized into City Council for the May 20th. I guess the business meeting, or is that the work session? I don't remember. So if you have any, concerns or changes, we are targeting the scope 1 and 2, scopes 1 and 2 for carbon emissions right now, but written into this is also addressing some of the scope 3. So it will help to achieve the state goals as well.
All right. Do you need anything from us as far as support or?
I think, yeah, I think you have to make a recommendation that it goes to City Council for adoption or review.
Yeah, I think it's just a recommendation to that council approve or deny, or approve with changes.
All
There
right.
you go.
Anybody opposed to a motion for a recommendation to City Council for approval? Or approval with conditions? Anybody opposed? Anyone have any conditions they want to change or?
I'm gonna be a no.
What? Just kidding. All right, well, I'll make a motion that, a motion for a recommendation to City Council for approval of the plan with no changes.
I'll second.
All right, second by Mario this time. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's 5 in favor. All opposed? Oh, the earth is crying
not personal.
with Chris's opposal. So, all right, 5-1, so,
All right, thank you.
all right. All right. Anyone have any other business? Kyle, how's
I-
it going so far? I'm sorry, Kyle.
Can I make a motion that City Council gets us some better microphones and an easel? I'm not kidding. People shouldn't have to bring an easel, and these microphones are pathetic. On the record, thank you.
Go a step further. Rather than an easel, why don't we have like a projector board that all these plans can be projected behind us? Because it's one thing when they put the easel here so that we can see
Yes.
stuff, but then nobody in the audience can see these
We-
exhibits and drawings.
We actually do have a screen right there, and we can use it if planning commission would like us to.
I could start hooking my computer right up to it if you want. And I,
Yeah,
If then that
yeah,
would be good.
okay. Yeah. I will say I was just in Johnson City planning last month, a little bit ago, and they have the exact same situation. you're facing, yeah, if you're in the audience, you have no idea what anybody's talking about and it's just a big mystery, but Vestal does the same thing. You face the wrong way, but yeah, I love that. That'd be great. And I don't mind hooking, yeah, my computer right up to the projector.
That's right.
Oh, if it could multitask everything through this, yeah.
Mhm. Just project that up.
So, okay,
Yeah, it sounds good.
Greg is making a motion to adjourn. I don't know.
Yeah, I think right now it's scheduled for July 2nd, right? Which is right during the middle of that week.
Yeah.
July 2nd, yep.
All right,
I guess we can look at that next month, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be out of town July 2nd, but I'll put it on the board.
okay. All right, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, Manny and Kelly. At 6 in favor, 0, wait, no, Chris opposed. Is there? All right.